Former casino employees are sounding the alarm. They've identified 9 slot machines with payout patterns so suspicious that even longtime workers started questioning what was happening behind the scenes. And the machine at number 4? Employees say its payout behavior is so abnormal, they warn their own friends not to touch it. Let's start with the first slot that raised serious red flags. Machine number 1, World of Wonka. World of Wonka hit casino floors in 2024, and casinos are pushing this game aggressively for a specific reason. This Light & Wonder machine can be programmed with RTP settings as low as 86.95%. For every $100 you feed into this chocolate factory nightmare, you're losing over $13 on average. Most modern slots run between 92 and 96% RTP. World of Wonka at its tightest setting gives you returns 6 to 9 percentage points worse than industry standard. Over a 4-hour session with a $100 per hour average bet, that difference translates to an extra $200 to $300 in losses compared to playing a fair game. Here's what makes this particularly predatory. The game uses Willy Wonka's name and likeness, requiring expensive licensing fees paid to the Roald Dahl estate. Those fees don't come out of the casino's pocket. They come out of yours through deliberately tightened RTP settings that would make even Grandpa Joe think twice. The game features elaborate bonus rounds with names like Wonka Wheel and Chocolate River, creating an illusion of generosity while systematically draining your bankroll at one of the worst rates in modern casino gaming. Floor managers have admitted off the record that their World of Wonka machines are configured at 87.5%, just slightly above the absolute minimum, specifically because the brand name does the marketing for them. Players at World of Wonka typically spend 30 to 40% longer sessions than comparable non-licensed games. That extended playtime at 87%, RTP creates a compounding effect where losses accelerate far beyond what players anticipate. You're not paying to play a slot machine. You're paying for the privilege of seeing Gene Wilder's face while losing money faster than almost any other game on the floor. And if you think this one is bad, the next machine hides something even more deceptive. Machine number 2, Buffalo Ultimate Stampede. When Aristocrat released Buffalo Ultimate Stampede in 2024, casino workers immediately recognized it as the latest evolution of the legendary Buffalo series. What they didn't advertise was how this ultimate version maintains the same below-average RTP that's made the Buffalo family profitable for casinos for nearly 2 decades. The machine sits right around 94 to 95% RTP, which sounds reasonable until you realize that's below industry average. But here's the real trick. This game uses massive volatility swings to create the illusion of bigger wins. You'll watch other players hit what looks like substantial bonuses, maybe $1,500 or $2,000. What you don't see is the $8,000 they fed into the machine over the previous 6 hours to trigger that single payout. Before I tell you how employees call this, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and tell me in the comments, have you ever played a slot that felt rigged or just too good to be true until you looked at your balance? Alright, back to how employees actually call this. Employees call this the Stampede Trap. The game is designed to create visible, exciting wins that attract crowds. When someone hits a bonus, those Buffalo stampede across the screen with thundering sound effects that echo across the entire slot floor. Every player within 50 feet turns to look. Coins stack on screen, multipliers flash, the winner celebrates. Those audiovisual spectacles serve one purpose: to pull more players into seats, where the math quietly grinds them down at rates that would shock them if they calculated their losses per hour. The ultimate in the name refers to the casino's ultimate profit margin, not your ultimate chance of winning. Buffalo Ultimate Stampede machines get repositioned to high-traffic areas precisely because of this crowd attraction effect. The game isn't placed for your convenience, it's placed where your emotional reaction to someone else's win will override your rational risk assessment. Average loss rates hit $70 to $90 per hour at dollar denomination, compared to approximately $3 per hour on quarter denomination video poker at 99.5% RTP. What makes this particularly concerning is that the game's popularity creates another hidden cost. Because Buffalo Ultimate Stampede attracts constant attention, these machines rarely sit empty. Finding an available seat often means waiting, and that wait time keeps you in the casino longer, exposed to other games and spending opportunities. And as predatory as this stampede trap is, machine number 3 takes it a step further. Machine number 3, Huff and Puff Money Mansion. Huff and Puff Money Mansion appeared on casino floors in 2024, and employees immediately flagged it as one of the most deceptive games they'd encountered. The game caught attention with its vibrant graphics and playful Big Bad Wolf theme, but what catches less attention is its classification as a penny slot, which automatically places it in the worst RTP category in the entire casino. Nevada Gaming Control Board data confirms that penny slots operate at RTPs between 86 and 93%. That's a house edge of 7 to 14%, making these machines significantly tighter than almost any table game you could play. Even roulette, often considered one of the worst bets in the casino, only carries a 5.26% house edge on American wheels. But here's where Huff and Puff gets particularly deceptive. While it's technically a penny slot, the game requires 40 to 50 lines to activate all features. Your penny bet is actually 50 cents to $1 per spin. You're paying dollar slot prices for penny slot mathematics. The math on that scam is brutal. A dollar slot with 94% RTP costs you 6 cents per dollar wager. Huff and Puff at 50 cents per spin with 88% RTP costs you 6 cents per spin. You're getting identical losses while the casino calls it a penny slot to make you feel like you're being conservative. This machine specifically targets players who think they're being conservative with penny denominations. The Money Mansion branding and exciting graphics create an impression of abundance, while the underlying math quietly delivers some of the worst returns available. The game features a breath-collecting mechanic where the wolf huffs and puffs to blow down houses for prizes. But you'll see the wolf huff and puff dozens of times before he actually blows anything down. Huff and Puff. Money Mansion generates consistent complaints from players who didn't realize how expensive it was. That's not an accidental misunderstanding. That's intentional design that hides the true cost behind penny denomination branding while extracting maximum revenue from minimum awareness. And if you think that's bad, the next machine is even worse. And believe it or not, the next slot preys on players in a completely different way by using nostalgia and emotion instead of math to drain bankrolls even faster. Machine number 4, Whitney Houston Slots. In 2024, casinos introduced Whitney Houston slots on the towering Skyrise cabinet, and it became one of the most expensive slot experiences you can have, not because of the denomination, but because of how the economics work. The game features synchronized video clips and Whitney's greatest hits playing through premium speakers, creating an emotional experience for fans that's being weaponized against their bankrolls. Licensed celebrity slots operate under a brutal economic reality. The casino pays substantial fees to the Whitney Houston estate for every machine on their floor. Those licensing costs create immediate pressure to tighten RTP settings below what comparable non-licensed games offer. Industry estimates put celebrity licensing at adding 3 to 5% to the house edge. On a game that might normally run at 92% RTP, you're looking at 87 to 89% once the Whitney Houston branding is factored in. That's the difference between losing $200 in an evening and losing $350. Here's the psychological trap that makes this particularly effective. Players who loved Whitney Houston's music experience genuine emotional connection while playing. Those emotions override rational gambling decisions. You're not just fighting casino math, you're fighting nostalgia and sentiment that cloud your judgment about when to walk away. When I Wanna Dance with Somebody starts playing during a bonus round, you're not thinking about RTP percentages. You're remembering where you were when that song was popular. You're feeling emotions tied to Whitney's incredible voice. The casino is monetizing your memories. One slot attendant mentioned watching a player in tears at this machine, still feeding it money, saying just one more song. Whitney Houston Slots sees some of the longest average play sessions of any machine on the floor, not because it's paying well, but because players are emotionally invested in an experience being monetized at their direct expense. What makes this particularly predatory is how it targets a specific demographic. Fans who came of age during Whitney's peak popularity in the 1980s and 1990s, now in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, have disposable income, and deep emotional connections to Whitney's music. The machine is designed to monetize both simultaneously. Casino teams specifically place Whitney Houston slots in areas with high foot traffic from that target demographic. They understand that a 55-year-old player walking past this machine and hearing Greatest Love of All will stop, sit down, and play, regardless of whether they'd planned to gamble. It's like charging admission to a Whitney Houston concert, except the admission price keeps going up every 3 minutes, and most people don't realize they're paying it. But emotional manipulation is just the beginning. Machine number 5 uses jackpot hype to disguise some of the tightest base game math casinos have ever allowed. Machine number 5, Jackpot Carnival Extreme. Jackpot Carnival Extreme rolled onto casino floors in 2024 with promises of massive progressive jackpots and extreme wins. What it delivers is extremely tight base game mathematics that fund those jackpots at your direct expense. Progressive jackpot slots operate under a simple principle: money has to come from somewhere. Every dollar that goes into that climbing jackpot meter is a dollar taken from base game RTP. Industry standard for progressive machines puts base game returns at 92 to 93%, with the remaining percentage feeding the jackpot pool. Here's what that means in practical terms. On a standard 95% RTP slot, $1,000 in bets costs you $50. On Jackpot Carnival Extreme at 92%, that same $1,000 costs you $80. You're paying a 60% premium for the privilege of chasing a jackpot that millions of other players are also funding. On a machine like Jackpot Carnival Extreme, you could play for 40 hours straight without ever triggering the progressive feature. During those 40 hours, you're grinding through one of the tightest base games available, funding jackpots that someone else will eventually win. These machines attract recreational players who fixate on the jackpot meter while completely ignoring the mathematical reality of what's happening spin after spin. The hypnotic progression of that number climbing creates false hope that overrides basic risk assessment about hourly loss rates. Let's run the actual numbers. You sit down with $500 at dollar denomination. The machine runs at 92% RTP on the base game. Over 500 spins, you've wagered $500 and received back $460. Your $40 loss funded exactly $4 toward the progressive jackpot that's currently sitting at $87,000. Now consider that jackpot. It started at $10,000. That means $77,000 has been contributed by players across hundreds or thousands of sessions. When someone finally hits that $87,000 jackpot, they're not winning casino money. They're winning collected losses from thousands of other players who paid Premium House Edge for the privilege of funding that prize. Slot technicians report that major progressive jackpots on machines like this trigger approximately once every 8 to 12 months per machine. During those months, tens of thousands of player sessions collectively contribute to a prize pool that statistically you will never hit. The extreme in the name is honest marketing. The base game is extremely tight, the jackpot is extremely rare, and your losses are extremely predictable if you're one of the 99.9% of players who will never see that grand progressive payout. And while progressive hype is dangerous, the 6th machine uses something even more powerful. Machine number 6, Momomo Mummy. This slot appeared first in casinos in 2024 with its Egyptian theme and catchy name, but what it's really wrapping up like a mummy is your money. This is another penny slot dressed up with premium features, combining the worst RTP category with psychological tricks designed to increase betting. The Momomo refers to the game's multi-coin trigger system, and this is where the manipulation begins. Landing 3 coin symbols initiates a hold and respin feature. Landing 6 opens bigger bonuses. The game subtly encourages maximum betting through its feature structure, making you feel like bigger bets increase your chances at triggering features. Here's the manipulation. Players instinctively increase their bet when they see 2 coin symbols land, thinking they're close to triggering the feature. This is engineered near-miss programming. Those 2 coin teases appear far more frequently than actual 3 coin triggers, consistently encouraging bet increases right before the feature refuses to materialize. Casino technical staff report that Momomo Mummy uses particularly aggressive near-miss mathematics. The game is programmed to land 2 coins approximately 5 times more often than 3 coins, creating a constant state of almost triggering that keeps players feeding the machine. You'll see those 2 coins land, feel that rush of anticipation, then watch the third reel spin past multiple coin symbols without landing on any of them. That's not random, that's programming designed to exploit the psychological phenomenon of near-miss stimulation. Your brain releases dopamine when you get close to winning, almost as much as when you actually win. The game is engineered to give you maximum near misses to keep that dopamine flowing while your bankroll drains. Studies on slot machine psychology demonstrate that near misses activate the same brain regions as actual wins, releasing dopamine and creating motivation to continue playing. This machine exploits that neurological response by delivering 5 near misses for every actual trigger, keeping you in a constant state of elevated anticipation while systematically draining your funds. Casino surveillance data shows that Mummy players make ATM visits at significantly higher rates than players on comparable machines. That's not a coincidence. The engineered near-miss frequency creates such strong, almost winning psychology that players justify additional cash deposits based on feeling like they're so close to hitting the feature. A slot attendant who regularly services this game reported overhearing countless players say, variations of, "I've got 2 coins, 5 times already, the third one has to hit soon." That belief represents a complete misunderstanding of how slot machines work, and the game's design specifically reinforces that misunderstanding to keep you playing at Premium House Edge for as long as possible. But the next machine doesn't rely on near misses. Machine number 7, Prosperity Link. IGT's Prosperity Link hit the peak Slant 49 cabinet in 2023 and has been proliferating across casino floors ever since. The name suggests wealth and connection, but what it actually links is your bankroll to the casino's profit center through mechanics that systematically reduce base game returns. Link series slots operate by taking a percentage of each spin to fund special features. On Prosperity Link, that percentage comes directly from the base game RTP. Where a standard slot might return 94% on regular spins, Link games often drop that to 91 or 92%, allocating the difference to hold and respin features and special bonuses. Let's break down what this means for your wallet. In a typical hour of play at dollar denomination with 600 spins, you're putting $600 through the machine. On a 94% RTP game, you'd expect to lose $36 per hour. On Prosperity Link at 91%, you're losing $54 per hour. That's a 50% increase in hourly losses, extracted to fund features that trigger once or twice in that same hour. Here's the perspective most players never hear. Those link features trigger approximately once every 100 to 150 spins. During the 99 to 149 spins between features, you're playing one of the tightest base games available. And when that feature finally hits, the average payout barely compensates for the extra 3% you've been losing on every single spin waiting for it. The link feature itself deserves closer examination. When you finally trigger the hold and respin feature, the game locks special symbols on screen and gives you 3 respins. Each time a new special symbol lands, the spin counter resets to 3. This creates intense drama and excitement as symbols accumulate and the potential prize grows. Here's what's really happening. Those special symbols that lock in place have predetermined values, typically ranging from 1 to 50 times your bet. The game is designed so that landing high-value symbols becomes progressively less likely as more positions fill. Your first few locked symbols might be 10 times or 20 times bets, but as the feature continues, you're increasingly likely to land 1 times or 2 times symbols, diluting the overall value. Prosperity Link's hold and respin feature averages payouts between 20 and 70 times the triggering bet. That sounds substantial until you remember you've been playing 99 to 149 spins of reduced base game RTP just to trigger it. At dollar denomination with a 3% reduction in base RTP over 125 spins, you've paid approximately $37 extra just for the privilege of hitting a feature that pays $40 to $50 on average. Prosperity Link attracts players who believe they're choosing a modern, sophisticated game with better odds. The reality is they're choosing a game that systematically allocates their base game returns to infrequent features, creating an illusion of opportunity while delivering consistent, predictable losses at rates optimized for casino profit. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about machine number 8. The one employees say is so volatile, they've watched players go hours without a single meaningful win. Machine number 8, Devil's Lock. Devil's Lock arrived in casinos in 2024 with ominous theming and a hold and rest spin feature that players quickly discovered lives up to its demonic name. This game epitomizes modern high-volatility design, where the lock feature locks your money away while rarely delivering the promised big wins. The lock mechanism requires landing 6 or more special symbols to trigger. Once triggered, symbols lock in place for rest spins, with each new symbol resetting the spin counter. It sounds exciting. In practice, most players trigger this feature once in every 200 to 300 spins. Let's put those numbers in perspective. At dollar denomination, 30 seconds per spin, that's one feature trigger every 100 to 150 minutes. You could play for 2.5 hours straight and see the main feature exactly once. During those 2.5 hours, at 600 spins with 93% base RTP, you've lost $42 just waiting for that single feature trigger. Here's what makes Devil's Lock particularly brutal. The game is designed with such extreme volatility that base game wins are deliberately suppressed to fund occasional large payouts. Players easily burn through $500 to $1,000, seeing nothing but small losses before the feature finally hits. When it does hit, the average payout barely covers accumulated losses, leaving you psychologically compelled to continue playing to get ahead. Employees specifically warn about this machine because they've watched countless players sink $2,000 to $3,000 chasing a single feature trigger, convinced that their dry spell means a big win is coming. Mathematics doesn't work that way. Every spin is independent, and that dry spell is simply the machine operating exactly as programmed. High volatility slots like Devil's Lock prey on a specific cognitive bias called the gambler's fallacy. After 150 spins without a feature trigger, players become increasingly convinced that the feature must be due. They double down on their betting, convinced that their investment in those 150 spins will be wasted if they walk away now. This is the sunk cost fallacy operating in real time, and Devil's Lock is specifically engineered to exploit it. Devil's Lock sees higher than average credit card cash advance requests, with players repeatedly saying they need just a little more to get back to even. The machine's extreme volatility creates such severe loss runs that players enter desperate recovery mode, making increasingly irrational decisions about how much more they're willing to risk. The game also features visual and audio cues that intensify this psychological trap. Every time 6 symbols appear on screen, dramatic red lighting flashes across the cabinet and demonic sound effects build anticipation. These sensory cues trigger excitement responses that override rational assessment about whether continuing to play is financially wise. And incredibly, the final machine might be the most misleading of them all. Machine number 9, Wonder 4 Revolution. Aristocrat's Wonder 4 Revolution launched in 2023 as an evolution of their successful multi-game concept. But this revolution revolves around one thing: extracting more money per spin by forcing simultaneous bets on 4 games at once. The revolution format displays 4 game screens simultaneously, each requiring a separate wager. To activate all features, you're betting on all 4 games, which means your minimum bet is effectively quadrupled compared to playing a single game. What looks like a 50-cent bet per game is actually a $2 bet per spin total. Here's the mathematical trap. Each of those 4 games operates at standard RTP, typically 94 to 95%. But you're now facing 4 independent house edges simultaneously. Your effective hourly loss rate is 4 times what it would be playing a single machine at the same denomination. The psychology is brilliant and brutal. Players feel like they're getting more action and more chances to win. What they're actually getting is more chances to lose across 4 simultaneous games, all running independent mathematics that favor the house. When one game hits a small win, you feel successful, completely ignoring that the other 3 games just took losses. Casino technical staff report that Wonder 4 Revolution sees higher average bets per player than almost any other game in the Aristocrat catalog, not because players are high rollers, but because the multi-game format disguises the actual amount being wagered per spin. Players consistently report they feel like they're winning more on Wonder 4 Revolution because something hits on one of those 4 screens almost every spin. What they don't realize is that hitting $20 on one screen while losing $5 each on the other 3 screens is a net loss of $5, not a win. The multi-game format creates another insidious problem. It makes tracking your actual win-loss record nearly impossible in real time. With 4 games running simultaneously, each with independent outcomes, your brain cannot effectively monitor whether you're winning or losing overall. You might remember that the top left game hit a $50 bonus, while completely forgetting that the bottom right game just consumed $60 over the previous 20 spins. This cognitive overload is intentional design. Players who cannot track their performance accurately will play longer and bet more than players who have clear awareness of their losses. Wonder 4 Revolution weaponizes this principle by splitting your attention across 4 simultaneous math engines, all quietly extracting casino edge while your divided attention misses the bigger picture. Wonder 4 Revolution players consistently underestimate their total hourly wagered amount by 50 to 70% when asked. A player betting 50 cents per game thinks they're wagering $30 per 100 spins. In reality, they're wagering $200 per 100 spins across all 4 games. That misunderstanding alone accounts for why these machines generate significantly higher revenue per occupied seat hour than single-screen alternatives. So now you know the 9 slot machines that employees identified as having suspicious payout patterns. If you've made it this far, please consider subscribing and liking the video. See you in the next video.